In a quiet African village where red dust swirled on sun-baked paths and the baobab trees watched over the land like ancient guardians, there lived a young lady named Adana. Her parents had raised her with deep-rooted values of hard work and kindness, and Adana was known throughout the village for her gentle nature. Whenever the elderly in the village needed help with fetching water or pounding yam, Adana would hurry over with a smile. Among those she often helped was an aging couple, Pa Obi and Mama Obi, whose only son, Chaik, had gone to the city many years ago. Though he was well into his 40s, Chaik had refused to marry, leaving his parents worried and lonely in their twilight years. Pa Obi and Mama Obi grew so fond of Adana, seeing in her a rare purity, that they began to dream of her as the wife of their distant son. Their hearts told them Adana would bring peace and happiness to Chaik's stubborn spirit. Driven by their desire for their son's happiness and a worthy bride for their family, they made a decision that would change Adana's life forever. They would marry her to Chaik, with or without his blessing. One morning, the elderly couple summoned Adana. With great excitement, they shared the news that she was to marry their beloved son in the city. Adana, though shocked, was honored. She trusted them so deeply that she saw their choice as the will of fate. Carrying her modest belongings wrapped in bright cloth, Adana left the only home she had ever known. The city overwhelmed her senses. Tall buildings, honking vehicles, and people who barely glanced at her in their hurry. But Adana held on to hope. She dreamed of a loving husband, a new life filled with joy, and a family of her own. When she finally arrived at Chaik's apartment, her hopes were dashed. Chaik looked upon her with cold eyes, seeing only a naive village girl forced upon him by meddling parents. His pride wounded, he refused to welcome her as a wife, treating her instead like an unwelcome burden. Night after night, Adana wept silently, longing for the warmth of the village and the gentle faces of her parents. But she refused to give up on life. In this strange and lonely city, her heart still held seeds of kindness waiting to bloom. Time passed, and Adana found the courage to step outside Chaik's cold home. In the market, she met Kunal, a lively young man whose smile was as warm as a summer sunrise. Kunal noticed the quiet sadness in her eyes and treated her with gentle respect, offering her conversation and laughter when she had none at home. As weeks went by, their friendship grew. Kunal made her feel seen, and Adana's spirit began to revive. She found a tiny bit of happiness again, while Chaik, watching from a distance, became consumed with jealousy. Suddenly realizing that he might lose her forever, Chaik tried to win her back with clumsy gifts and harsh, possessive words. But his actions came too late, for Adana's heart had already chosen kindness and respect over cruelty and neglect. Enraged, Chaik lashed out, making Adana's life even more miserable. But Kunal, strong in spirit and brave in heart, stood by her side and shielded her from Chaik's bitterness. One day Adana had enough. With her newfound confidence and the support of Kunal, she gathered her courage and demanded a divorce. Chaik protested, but the bond between them had long been broken. Free at last, Adana stepped into a new chapter of her life, marrying Kunal, who treated her like the queen she was. Their wedding was small but filled with genuine love and joy. Adana's parents came from the village, singing praises and thanking the ancestors for protecting their daughter. In time, Adana learned that the heart's home is not always where others send you, but where you find respect, kindness, and true love. And so she lived on, no longer just the kind village girl, but a woman who discovered her worth and built her own happiness. News of Adana's divorce and remarriage soon reached the village. At first, tongues wagged. People questioned how a woman from their humble land could dare leave her husband and marry another. But as Adana returned home to visit with Kunal by her side, the villagers saw the gentle respect he showed her, the way he listened to her words, the way he honored her kindness. Even Pa Obi and Mama Obi, though saddened that their plan for Chaik had failed, saw that Adana's happiness was genuine and her heart finally at peace. Slowly, the village came to understand that a woman's worth is not measured by her obedience to a cruel husband, but by the strength of her spirit and the love she receives. Adana's courage became an example to other young women, that they too could stand up for themselves and choose a life of dignity, even in the face of tradition. And so, dear listener, remember Adana's story well. Kindness deserves kindness, and love deserves love. Never let anyone make you feel small because of where you come from, or the simple clothes you wear. The heart of a true queen or king is measured not by wealth or power, but by dignity, courage, and the willingness to stand up for what is right. No matter how humble your beginning, you are worthy of respect. You deserve to be cherished, honored, and treated like royalty. Because a kind heart, dear listener, is a treasure beyond all riches.